So breaking into new client accounts can be really tricky. Cold calls often get unanswered, cold outreach emails often get unread, but what if there's a way of using warm introductions to get access to these accounts? And that's what we're going to cover in this video. We're going to focus on the connections feature within Microsoft Dynamics 365 for Sales and show how that can reveal hidden relationships that allow you to get entry to these accounts and close sales more quickly. Now, the problem is for many sellers, the cold outreach type activity is very time consuming, it's often very frustrating, and successes can be few and far between. But what sellers often don't appreciate is that they're already connected to the organizations they're trying to target. They just don't know it. Now, let's say, for example, I'm trying to target a particular new account that's attractive to me. I might have sent out multiple outreach emails to lots of different people within that organization, but not heard anything at all. But what if I suddenly found out that there was a consultant that they work with, but we've also worked with very successfully in the past? That would change everything. And that's where connections comes into play. So let's show you connections within the system. So I'm in the accounts area at the moment, and let's say my target organization, the company I want to get into, is one called AdventureWorks. If I just open up AdventureWorks record here, I can see their sort of core account details on the screen, but via the related area here, if I just click on that, you'll see I've got some other areas of the system available to me, and one of them is something called Connections, which is what we're going to use here. So if I click on Connections, that's going to bring up the Connections view. And I can see here on the screen that we've got 5 existing connections to AdventureWorks that we've mapped out. Now, the first is as a connection between Jim Glynn as an individual, and he's connected to them as a non-executive director. We've got one for Maria Campbell. She's an IT consultant. We've got one for Mark Payne. Now, Mark happens to be a user of the system, so presumably he works for us as part of our organization, and he's a former employee. And we've got Scott and Yvonne, again, are former employees. So we've got 5 potentially interesting relationships here with AdventureWorks that we could potentially leverage. But let's say I wanted to explore the Maria Campbell one. I could just click on the link here to Maria Campbell's record. Let's click on that. Open up Maria Campbell's record so I can see her core details here. Again, I can use the related area to find connections, and I can see that connection that we've just explored back to AdventureWorks, where she is the IT consultant. And I can also see, which is of interest to me in this particular made-up example, that she's also a IT consultant for Blue Yonder Airlines, who happen to be, in this made-up example, one of our best customers. So now I have the ability to either, through my connections at Blue Yonder Airlines, try and facilitate an introduction to Maria, and in turn facilitate an introduction to AdventureWorks, or maybe I contact Maria directly. But now I've got a potentially warm introduction to my target account. So this is enormously powerful. Now I can create new connections simply by connecting one record to another, and I can identify the record I want to connect. And actually, we can connect lots of different record types, or indeed any record type within the system to another record type. And within the system, we can manage the different types of roles that we want to track. I'm not going to create one here, I'll just, for the sake of brevity, but I'll just come back out of that. Now, the sort of relationships we might want to track, we've sort of already touched on some of them: non-executive directors, consultants, ex-employees, but other ones that might be of interest to us. So, for example, there's a slight limitation of Dynamics, or indeed most CRM systems, in that a contact can only directly work for one organization. But again, you can use connections where somebody is truly employed by multiple people. We can have connections to set out those other relations. But we can track other things, for example, husband and wife relations, or friendships between individuals. It's really down to you to work out what sort of relationship types that you want to track within your system. That's a very simple case of just configuring those in the back end of the system. So in terms of benefits, I think is once you really start to map out and systemize this data, you'll be very surprised by the interconnections that you've actually got. And that really makes your outreach activity a lot more effective. It also shortens sales cycles just because you're working through warm relations a lot of the time. And for the same reason, it also improves your conversion rate. So I think it's a really effective approach to opening up new accounts. And I don't think it's something that people are doing, and I don't think it's something that people are systemizing within their CRM system. So I think it's a very exciting opportunity to really harness the power and leverage more value from your existing dynamic CRM system. Anyway, hopefully that explains how the connections capability can add value to your organization. This is one in a whole range of Microsoft Dynamics 365 for Sales videos that we've done on the channel. Feel free to check out those. Also, if you've got any suggested content ideas or indeed you need any help with Microsoft Dynamics, please see the links below. Anyway, thank you very much for your time today. Hopefully see you again soon.